Kill, episode 12, viewer comments, and if you hear lightning, yes, that's exactly what it is. It's lightning outside. Starting off, Larry Anderson, by Crom, My Brain Hurts. The Conan reference there. There's so much fracking info in this episode, wow. And the ending after the credits, a few weeks after the fight, the creators are genius. I can't get enough of this show. Absolutely, the show is fantastic. Thank you for your comment. Now, I just want to say up front, two things that really jumped out, of course, is one was obvious, the whole role of Nui, the way it changed, it was just uncomfortable, okay, which I already mentioned in the review. But the next thing that jumped out, which was awesome, but a lot, from reading ahead already, is people are really impressed with Ryuko's father. So that's been pretty awesome. Real, kind of a shocker the way it went out, and it seemed pretty say believable, but yeah, it fit in pretty well. Alright, let's continue on. KX Mixer X. Looks like I was right to forego the predictions this week because yet again, I was way off with my expectations. Somebody stop. That never stops me. I make predictions and I keep being wrong, usually anyhow. Not always. Those are the awesome times. Continuing on. If it's just for fun, what the heck. Okay, now continuing on. If I was to type out everything I liked about this episode, I'd have a novel by the time I was done. So this time, it's sufficient for me to simply say that I loved it. It nearly wrapped up this half of the series and adequately set the ball rolling for the next half. It's going to be rough waiting for the next episode this time around. It's just a suggestion, but it'd be nice for you to maybe set up a standalone viewer comment video solely for predictions, expectations, and desires for the second half of the series. Only if we don't get to it this week, that is. After all, there's plenty of material to cover for this episode, LOL. Well, I don't know, to do an extra video, for me, I think you know, I think you've been, you've seen where I was doing videos in segments, and then, I was just doing that. I would rather do a big video. I'd rather do an hour. I've already stated I don't mind doing a 2-hour video. I have no problem with that. And as you've seen, if you want to keep typing, I'll keep putting it down. Now, if you want to get to the size of an article, I'll still do it. If you start getting even to small book, yeah, I don't want to do a small book. Okay, but then again, if you have really good stuff to say, I might even go with that. So I'm flexible. So don't cut yourself back. I mean, there's really no reason to go ahead and let it go. I mean, you see a lot of other comments. Some of the other comments here are very long, which is awesome, by the way. And actually, they could be even longer. Like I say, to me, I've done over an hour. I'll do over an hour, and for this, I'd happily do 2 hours. I don't know what shape I'd be in at the end of it, but I'm willing to give it a go. So yeah, keep going, keep writing. Awesome stuff. Really do appreciate your comments. NW Order for Life. Okay, a lot of stuff to type here. Here we go. I'm going to just stop for a second. Imagine all the people, sounds like a Beatles song, that are missing out on this show. Can you imagine all the awesomeness that they're missing out on? Now, I know that there's other things out there that I could watch or you could watch that we are missing out on, but definitely they're missing out on this. It's really too bad. Excuse me. Continuing on. Mako is such an amazing character. I love how she ran to Ryuko's aid and literally swam through the energy that was caused by Ryuko and Satsuki's clash. Couldn't keep my mouth closed while watching Mako. Her slaps to Ryuko's face were both heartfelt and impactful, as it was their later comical at the end, right? That's the amazing thing about her character. She can be deep and serious, real to us, but then she can also be hilarious and endearing herself to us. She might just be one of the best characters of all anime. At least in terms of how she was written and how adorable her voice is. I cracked up when she said her body was burned, but then described it incredibly as like, I got a free tan. Lucky. Her family really needs to go, though. I don't want to see them until like the season finale when Ryuko and Mako returns to another thing to pronounce, Hanoji Academy or something, because I'm sick of the family. They do not shine like Mako does. Wow, there's a few things I wanted to comment on here. I'm really agreeing. Well, let me just go to this one thing. Just slice the whole thing of Mako rescuing Ryuko, which is what happened, right? She was the hero. She was the heroine of this episode, right? Mako. This is without a suit, without anything, just her power of friendship, power of her family getting her there. And like I mentioned in the review, the families kind of served their purpose for the most part. But just how much, and this is something we've seen the power of friendship before. This series isn't like everything they do is groundbreaking. It's just done so well. I mean, just how much we watch her swimming through, right, these two female gladiator titans, their raw energy, swimming through that to get to our Ryuko, and even explaining, you know, that's where I was. I mean, and that was another thing. That's where I was at. And how many times we've seen this too? I'm going to rescue you from a horrible place that you're at because I was there. And just this little teeny sliver of this show is so dense with interesting aspects to it, right? Just a smidgen of it. It's just amazing. You know, a little bit of this show goes a long way. And it was awesome. Like I say, even it isn't always being surprised by something. It's seeing something executed and done well, or in a much superior fashion. And that's what we were seeing. Continuing on with your comment. Ryuko's transformation really surprised me. I wasn't expecting her to look that grotesque or for Senketsu and her to fuse into this monster. Surprisingly, it was Ryuko who actually caused them to lose control, and it seems that Senketsu has no control over Ryuko at all. In fact, Ryuko's emotions... Oh, let's stop here. So it does seem... So typically it's the suit that's going to lose control and create the destruction, but if Ryuko could have just... As a matter of fact, the suit is telling her, calm down, I can't control this. So yeah, this suit is, I guess, so unique because I guess, as we found out, it has a part of her father's personality in it, evidently. Okay, continuing on. In fact, Ryuko's emotions might just determine how she appears. She always acts like a tough warrior girl, so maybe Senketsu has been reflecting that. However, when she lost control and felt nothing but rage and hatred, she took on the appearance of those feelings. I think this foreshadows a transformation where instead of Senketsu eating her and transforming into a monster, she will transform into something beautiful, like a crimson angel. Obviously born out of the opposite feelings and emotion, I would also venture to say that this transformational ability is exclusive to Senketsu. Yeah. I doubt Satsuki would have such a strong connection to Junketsu that she can transform like Ryuko can. Right, so yeah, that's another thing too. It's evident that Senketsu is well, just unique all the way around. You know, and everybody's been shocked, and that's been shown before. The sewing machine guy went here and wait a minute, suits don't act like this. This is, you know, they're monsters. They don't act like this, and protective and everything else. So yeah, good stuff there. Continuing on. Speaking of Satsuki, it seems like she's lying about being the one who sent Nui to kill Ryuko's father. This is obviously so she can protect Ryuko, and so she makes sure Senketsu doesn't fall into her mother's hands. We could see in this episode how Satsuki was reluctant to kill Ryuko, and I think it lends more to my theory that Satsuki's planning on using Ryuko against her mother. I couldn't agree with you more. Whether or not that becomes a friendship is unclear to me. For some reason or another, Satsuki likes making herself look like a villain, but I know she wants to take over the schools for the greater good. I'm still going with the prediction that they will be allies and at the very least respect each other. I think they're going to be temporary allies, and I think that her Satsuki's true opinion is that a ruling elite has to rule everything, and the rest of the people are just pigs. I think that she's trying to get the cream off the top, which she sees as being worthy, and everybody else not. So they're going to be allies to a point, and then they're going to have a problem. So I see them actually. That would be a pretty easy way for them to be at the finale, right? Is this because it's been so dense? The whole communist Animal Farm stuff has just been so much of it in there. So in the end, their ideologies are going to have to conflict. I'm assuming whenever the mother's gone or whatever villains that they get on there. All right, continuing on. Awesome stuff. The flashback with Roku's father was done well. I cheered when I saw Nui, bitch, get her eyes slashed. Like you said, her vanity is her weakness, and she'll lose because of her sadistic tendencies. Yeah. And Satsuki just pointed that out so well. It was brilliant the way the writers had it, just had that out there, just to make sure if we missed it, which I kind of did, is I did that. Bam, that's what happened. So she's not as awesome, and that's her weakness. All right, continuing on. So to close this up, I'm going to talk about Nudist Beach. All right, Sewing Machine Gun Guy really took it to Nui. I love how he tricked her into walking to explosives, and he had so much disdain for her that he wouldn't even introduce himself. What a badass. I have to say that Professor came off as a little heroic this episode. I'm starting to think I was wrong of suspecting him to be a bad guy because of his tendency, his secrecy, and shady attitude. He has focus, and he was alone, so he wasn't putting on an act. It seems like he was concerned for Ruko, and overall, he just didn't feel like a bad guy today. Whatever they do with the character, I can't wait to see how he fights and what his back story is. I mean, here we go, right? We really don't. We've only had some hints with his glowing nipples, and I mean, we really don't know what his powers are. I mean, except for the whole being able to freeze someone where they don't even remember, the whole Mako thing. So this is so much, isn't it? It's episode 12, and I guess that's the way it is. They're laying out the story. This has been so crafted so well. This is just so awesome. All right, continuing on. Finishing up right here. All right, I'm done. There's so much to talk about, but it's like my mind is on information overload. So many awesome things about this episode. Oh, yeah, and I almost forgot. Naked Senyama was hilarious. All right, here we go. Oh, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff there in W Order. And once again, thank you for suggesting this show, and awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Yeah, we're all kind of I'll go ahead and mention this in the middle of it again. I'm going to try to find out how to do this on Google Plus so we can actually. I think the best thing that we could do, since definitely there are people, and I'm sure more people, we could actually have a conversation, and I could simply film it, or that's an old expression. Have it on video, So I'm going to have to find out how that. I'm going to try this week to find out how that works. No promises. So, but I really would like to get that. And how my understanding is, we would all simply get on there, and I think it's a limit of 10 people, and we could all just sit there and we could actually talk, and then I would simply upload that video, and it would be a true back and forth, Also, you could read from something. If we could experiment and try that. You could go, okay, here's my take, and bam, go down, or maybe just we'll hit different segments or what have you. But anyway, we'll see. I'm gonna really try to get some information on how that works, because I think I know that if we could get everybody on at the same time, plus there are people down around the different parts of the world and everything else like that. So yeah. Yeah, and it would probably be on Saturdays if we did that. But anyway, I'm trying. I just have to do that. Awesome stuff, NW Order for Life. All right, let's go. Cakes Mixer X. Oh, by the way, Dr. Matoy, Roku's father, was one badass old man. Conley Bob 9. Yep, Roku's dad got the moves. Conley Bob 9, you are the last commentator this week. All right, last but definitely not least, I appreciate everybody. Okay, this is awesome. Like I say, and I don't know if everybody is interested in that, but I would like to do that, and that would probably be something that would be like an hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half, something like that. Or maybe 30 minutes, I don't know. Where everybody could just sit around and talk about, geek out for a little while on the show. And like I say, and then I would upload it, and, it would probably replace viewer comments, but I don't know. It's all experimental, and I guess I got to find out how to do it first, don't I? All right, continuing on. Just out of curiosity before I close up, how much time has this been? 15 minutes. Like I say, I don't mind doing this stuff for an hour or over. And this, I would love to do a 2-hour viewer comment, but I'd rather do it in a conversational mode. I think you can tell I like to talk, but I like to listen too. Not everybody can say that. All right, Connie Bob 9. This episode had a really weird effect on me, in that I both liked it and yet I didn't. I think the part of it is because I expected Nui Harami to be more of a focal point, which she was in the first half, and not so much in the second. I also wanted to learn more about Satsuki's mother, who was looking really tight last week, and Satsuki's relationship with her. But Ryuko's rampage and fighting overall, while it was really awesome, it just didn't quite have the same pizzazz to me for some reason. Very strange. All right. I love the awesome fight. Well, actually, there's a couple things I wanted to say, but I'll get to it later. Okay, I love the awesome fight scene between Ryuko's dad and little Miss Shirley Temple. It was like a scene out of Kill Bill. Turns out that Ryuko's dad was no slouch, and he was the one who took her left eye. And Harami using a tape measure as a whip, LOL. I assumed before now that she didn't really lose an eye, but that there was something beneath the patch that allowed her to spot the hidden banshee in the uniform. That would make a lot of sense. There might still be something useful beneath the patch, though, because every time I like where you're at here on this. A one-eyed character appears in anime is always a power-up beneath that patch. LOL. So we got to look out for that. What did she get replaced with that would power up? And it may be a while before we see another fight with her. But anyway, I just want to reiterate for, I guess, maybe several times in this, I've already said. What you said in the beginning, your first paragraph there, is the feeling that it was her, and then it was like we weren't done with her, and then where we finished, even there's a line from Nui was like, well, that fight was unsatisfying, or something like that is what Nui even said, and that's how it wasn't left at a good place. The transition didn't work. The thing you had before was awesome. The thing you had after was awesome, but the transition was horrible. All of a sudden we're in a scene that this is great, but what happened with felt like we got dumped off. It was very odd. Anyway, continuing on. My favorite line in this episode was from Mako, when she told Ryuko not to worry because she was a back alley doctor's daughter as a friend. That was hilarious. Her role in this episode was very important. And I think that the way she brought Ryuko back was a parody of the power of friendship, which is a very frequent theme in shonen and the solution to practically all problems. Mako's slaps are equivalent to the will of fire, the will of D, the heart of cards being all fired up, etc. And then before I read your last paragraph, when we switched over to Mako, she said some crazy things, and once again, the transition. It was another one of these things. I went over here and I'm kind of, okay, I'm not really ready for funny yet, but she kept going, and by the time she had left the stands and was screaming, stop the blood loss, like it was a political slogan. We must stop the blood loss. We must stop people from. As soon as she did that, I was in the mood for it to be funny, and that she stops her family, and very much in charge of what's going on, which was interesting. And even if you notice, it looked like in the beginning when she hops in the vehicle that they're going backward and she's pointing. So somehow they got straightened out and she got flung in there. But it was building up. At least, like I say, the transitions in this show, in this episode, weren't that great for some reason. But they spent the amount of time that they had spent with her before it got to the big scene, because I think if they would just cut to the big scene with her and Ryoko without all this crazy Mako's mind, you know, going through her all the crazy stuff that she was saying, and the whole thing, that it would have been enjoyable. But it was really good by the time we got there. All right, last comment, last part of this comment, last comment actually of this episode, our episode here of 12 of viewer comments. Awesome job, everybody. The ending left me kind of confused about who the main villain is going to be, Satsuki or her mother. Right now, I'm kind of suspicious about Satsuki's claims that she sent Shirley Temple to kill the father. Yeah, it doesn't work that way at all. Maybe she wants to keep Ryoko from fighting her mother, or for whatever the reason. But we'll see where all that goes. It turns out Satsuki was examining those battles to make her Goku uniforms even stronger, and now planning to dominate all the high schools in the West. So there really are the schools that are strong enough to have kept her at bay before now. I'm excited to see the oncoming war. It is interesting to have the schools as the main places. Well, like I say, for my prediction with See It Now, is the mother will be what unifies everybody, and then when that's done, Satsuki will go back to being Satsuki. But then again, the genius of this show is Satsuki could get killed next episode. She could get wiped out. And then Ryoko and they're all on the run. I mean, that's... And I knew... But the creators of this show could do that. I could see them do it and pull it off. As much as I really want to see this character go forward, I could actually see that, and I could see her dying and explaining some pieces of the puzzle to Ryoko. That's how crazy this show is. Anything can happen. It is so enjoyable. And also, I just want to reiterate once before I go ahead and close out, is the density of this thing, the writing, for the most part, we're seeing. We've seen some cracks in it from here and there. I'm not that picky, as you know, but overall, this is just so amazing. It's so much entertainment. It's I don't want to get too much into Death Note, but we as fans want to be entertained, and this thing's doing that it's blowing our minds, isn't it? All right, we'll go ahead and close this thing out, because that's another problem we have with this series. All of us is stopping. There's so much there, and I will give it a shot to try to learn how to do the video and see if anybody is interested in doing that. All right, that's going to be it for viewer comments. Anybody can be an anime fan. You can always subscribe. You can always unsubscribe. You can do anything you want to. Until next time, take care.